Well, this is a continuation of ethanoic acid, okay, ethanoic acid topic. Here we will understand reaction of ethanoic acid. So there are many reactions of ethanoic acid, but here we will discuss three reactions: how ethanoic acid reacts with metal, how ethanoic acid reacts with base, and how ethanoic acid reacts with metal carbonates. Okay. Now, first of all, let us see how ethanoic acid reacts with metal. So whenever ethanoic acid reacts with metal, the product is methyl ethanoate and hydrogen. Okay. Now this metal ethanoate is a salt. Okay. You can say it is a salt. Methyl ethanoate is what? It is a salt. Why I am writing ethanoate? Because I am dealing with the ethanoic acid. If I will react methanoic acid with a metal, then metal methanoate will be formed. Okay. So what we are discussing here? We are discussing here the naming of the salt which is produced when any carboxylic acid reacts with any metal. So specifically here we are dealing with ethanoic acid. That's why I wrote the name metal ethanoate. Okay. Here in this general equation, we didn't discuss which metal. That is why the name metal ethanoate. So you need to understand that the name of the salt starts with the metal which is reacting with the and ends with the acid which is reacting in the reaction. For example, suppose when ethanoic acid reacts with sodium, the salt form will be sodium ethanoate and the other product is hydrogen. Okay. So, ethanoic acid, sodium ethanoate, because the reactants are sodium and ethanoic acid. Now, suppose instead of sodium, if ethanoic acid reacts with potassium, then the name will change to potassium ethanoate. Okay. So, the name will change. Why it will change to potassium ethanoate? Because instead of sodium, I use potassium for the reaction. Similarly, if instead of ethanoic acid, I use propanoic acid, and sodium, then the name will be sodium propanoate. So, you need to understand this, that the name of the salt will depend upon what are the metal and the which metal we are using and which carboxylic acid we are using. So here ethanoic acid and sodium, that is why sodium ethanoate. So this is the word equation. Now let us see the chemical equation. You see, 2 molecules of ethanoic acid will react with 2 sodium to give 2 molecules of sodium ethanoate and 2 hydrogen. Is it clear? So 2 ethanoic acid will react with 2 sodium and 2 sodium ethanoate salt will be formed and hydrogen is released. So this is the balance equation. Okay. Now we will, if you understood the first equation, the rest 2 reactions will be very easy because the naming concept will be same. The name of the salt will depend upon which acid we are using and which base we are using. So here you see that whenever ethanoic acid reacts with any base, again the salt will be the ethanoate salt and the byproduct is water. So suppose I react ethanoic acid with potassium hydroxide. So as we have discussed, the name of the salt will be potassium ethanoate. Potassium because our base is potassium hydroxide and ethanoate because we are using ethanoic acid. So in exam they can change. Maybe they can change either the carboxylic acid or the base just in order to check your understanding. So of course the name of the salt will be changed, but good thing is that the product will be always same, means it will be salt and water. The name of the salt will change according to which base and which carboxylic acid we are using. Okay, so this was the word equation. Now let's see the chemical equation. So 1 ethanoic acid reacts with 1 potassium hydroxide to give 1 potassium ethanoate and 1 water molecule. So this is the balance equation when ethanoic acid reacts with base. Okay. So here you need to just know that when ethanoic acid reacts with base, the product is salt and water. Since I am specifically using ethanoic acid, that's why ethanoate salt. Okay. Now coming to the third type of equation, the reaction of ethanoic acid. The third reaction of ethanoic acid is reaction of ethanoic acid with metal carbonate. So when ethanoic acid reacts with metal carbonate, the product is again ethanoate salt, water and carbon dioxide. So this reaction is very important because here you see three products are being formed. What are they? Ethanoate salt, because the carboxylic acid is ethanoic acid, and water and carbon dioxide is the two other byproducts. Okay. Now let's see its word equation. So ethanoic acid plus sodium carbonate will give sodium ethanoate plus water plus carbon dioxide. Now we will see the balance equation. So two ethanoic acid will react with one sodium carbonate to give two sodium ethanoate plus one water plus one carbon dioxide. Okay. So this is all three types of reaction of ethanoic acid with metal, with base and with metal carbonate, which we need to know, and I hope so I made you understand this. Okay, now we will understand ester. What is an ester? Okay, so first of all, of course, it is an organic compound. Ester is an organic compound and its functional group is C double bond O single bond O. This is the functional group of ester. So you understand that this functional group comes always when alcohol reacts with carboxylic acid. So you should understand that ester is formed when alcohol reacts with carboxylic acid. So the question you can ask is that what are the two functional groups needed to make an ester? So you will write alcohol and carboxylic acid are the two functional group which is needed to make an ester. Okay, so whenever alcohol reacts with carboxylic acid in presence of any acid as a catalyst, the product is ester and water. Okay, so you understood, okay? For making ester we need alcohol and carboxylic acid. So let us see the word equation. So whenever propanol reacts with ethanoic acid in presence of acid as a catalyst, the ester which we get is propyl ethanoate plus water. Okay, so propyl ethanoate plus water. Now this is the chemical equation, the balance equation. You see, propanol is the alcohol which is made up of 3 carbon. So propanol is 3 carbon alcohol. It stands for 3 carbon and all is the functional group of alcohol. That is why this is 3 carbon alcohol. When this reacts with ethanoic acid, ethanoic is 2 carbon acid, because you see 2 carbon acid is this. The product will be propyl ethanoate. So propyl ethanoate, how it formed, you see, I tried to explain with a dotted line. Okay, H of acid will react with OH of alcohol and water is formed as a byproduct. So water is formed as a byproduct, and now this acid group, you see this acid group, this is the acid part. From this is the acid part, will join with the remaining alcohol part. Okay, this acid part will join with remaining alcohol part and we will get the ester. Okay, now since one thing I just want to tell you, that means here because ester is being made, we can say this reaction is esterification reaction. We can say this reaction is esterification reaction, or we can say this reaction is, this above reaction is condensation reaction. Condensation reaction. Okay, now why I am saying this reaction is condensation reaction? Because condensation reaction is the reaction in which small molecule is eliminated. Condensation reaction is the reaction in which small molecule is eliminated. You see, hydrogen and OH, H of acid and OH of alcohol will join together to make a water and it is removed. That is why this is called condensation reaction. So here you just need to know esterification reaction is which type of reaction. So you will say condensation reaction, because I have seen somewhere question they will ask you which type of reaction is the reaction where esters are made. So you will say it is a condensation reaction. And if they will ask you why it is a condensation reaction, we can say that water is being eliminated. Okay. Now, when I will teach you condensation polymerization, there I will give you some more detailing about it. Okay. Now, so this you understood the alcohol and carboxylic acid react to form ester and water. This was the word equation and this was the chemical equation. Now, when we will come to naming of ester, so name starts with alcohol part and ends with carboxylic acid part. Okay, so this is called propyl ethanoate because alcohol was propanol and acid was ethanoic acid. So this ester is which ester? So this is propyl ethanoate. This is propyl ethanoate. This ester is which ester? Propyl ethanoate. Why? Because the alcohol was propanol and acid was ethanoic acid. Now, let's see how can we make the structure of ester. Suppose in exam they will give you name, you make a structure of propyl ethanoate. So as in the beginning, I talk about the functional group. So whenever you are making ester, you start with a functional group. So suppose I am making propyl ethanoate, okay? Propyl ethanoate. So how will I make the structure? So for propyl ethanoate, first of all, I will make the functional group. The functional group is C double bond O, single bond O, and this is the functional group. So it must be present in every ester because this is the functional group. And let me tell you one thing, this functional group is contributed by acid. This functional group is contributed by acid. From this reaction you can see only hydrogen is removed. So this is the functional group. So now this functional group is part of an acid, and since it is a ethanoate, means it is made up of 2 carbon acid. 1 carbon is already present there. So I will attach another carbon with 3 hydrogen. Okay. Now this is the whole acid part. Now we know that this is propyl ethanoate, means that the alcohol is 3 carbon alcohol. So simply you can attach 1 carbon, 2 carbon and 3 carbon like this. So now this is the structure of propyl ethanoate. Okay. Now one more example I will give, so it will be more clear. Suppose I am making ethyl propanoate. Okay. Now you understand here, okay, first of all you understand here which alcohol and which acid. Here alcohol is ethanol, 2 carbon alcohol, and acid is propanoic acid, 3 carbon acid. Okay. Now you see this, okay, as I stated earlier, okay, we will make the functional group first. So functional group is, you see, this is the functional group. Now this functional group is a part of acid. This is propanoate, which means 3 carbon acid. Okay, so 1 carbon is already here. So what I will do, I will attach 2 more carbon. Okay, so 2 more carbon, we can write like this also, C2H5. Okay, and or you can see, if I will make it in the expanded form, it will be 1 CH3 CH2. You can write it together also, C2H5. Now this is the acid part. Matlab 3 carbon acid, this much is the acid part, only hydrogen is removed. Now the other part is the alcohol part, which is made up of 2 carbon. The first carbon with 2 hydrogen and second carbon with 3 hydrogen. So you see this is the, so this is the structure. So structure of ester, you will make it like this.